Okay, so we are now going to talk about seek and you will find. And I'm going to read quickly something that is in Matthew chapter 7, so we can start thinking about it. It says, "Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. For everyone that asks, receive, and he that seek, find. And to him that knock, it shall be opened. Or what man is there of you, whom if his son ask bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he ask a fish, will he give him a serpent? If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him?" So that's why we are going to talk about seek and you'll find. So in Matthew, is basically saying to us that we can ask to God what we need or what we think we need, and we will always have an answer, because he's saying here in Matthew that we can ask and be given to us, but it might not be what we want, but what we need. Anyway, we were getting something, but he's saying, who asks for fish and gets a serpent from God? Which means that sometimes we might interpret what comes to us as being not as good as we wished, but in fact is the best that could have happened to us. So when we think about also us, as is said here, we know, or we try our best to give our children the best we can. Obviously everybody makes mistakes, and sometimes it might happen that we think is the best and it's not. But we, being evil, symbolically speaking, as is said here, we know what to give to our children for the best. Can you imagine our Creator? So that's the idea here. And also we can think about things that we are seeking in life. What do we want to find? What do we want to get? Because these questions are important to us to think about, right? It's not only about seeking, but what is the quality of what we want for ourselves? Is it really the best for us? So we have to grow up, spiritually speaking, to know what to ask or whatever we need the best for ourselves. That's important. Obviously God will give us whatever is the best, but it's good for us to learn also that is something we ask is good for us in reality, or is just something temporary. Is it good for us as immortal beings, or just for this incarnation? Sometimes we get attached to the life we are living right now, at this moment, in this incarnation, and we don't think ahead. God will always think ahead. He has a 360 view of situations and people. We don't. So in the Gospel, Kodak comments about it. He says, from the moral point of view, these words of Jesus signify that if we ask for the light which will show us the way, it will be given. If we ask for strength to resist evil, we shall receive it. If we ask for the assistance of the good spirits, then they will come to accompany us, and as did the angel of Tobias, they will guide us. If we ask for good counsel, it will not be refused. If we knock on his door, it will be opened. But we must ask with sincerity, faith, confidence, and fervor. It means with intent, with intensity, let's say. But we must we must present ourselves with humility, being humble, and not with arrogance, not demanding, or else we will be abandoned to our own strength, and the false taking will be punishment for our pride. So punishment doesn't really exist. As we know, God doesn't punish us, but this is a symbolic way of saying that we'll be on our own until we learn how to receive help, how to wish what is best for us. And sometimes, because of our pride, because we can be prideful, we are not humble, we demand things that we're not entitled to or is not the best for us, then we have to learn living sometimes a not so pleasant experience, but will give us the understanding that we need, will give us maturity as spirits. This then is what is meant by the words seek and you shall find, knock and you shall be opened. If you paid attention about what Kardec says about everything here, it was only things for the immortal beings that we are. Nothing really earthly, let's say. Nothing only for this moment. For example, if you ask for light to show you the way, it will be given to you. The light. So whatever is not light might not be given to you because it's not the best for you. So if you ask assistance of the good spirits, they will be with you. For example, like the angel of Tobias. Because there is a story about the angel of Tobias. I don't know if you know that. I took this story that I'm going to tell you from the National Gallery website, because there is a picture, I'll show you in a minute here, by Verrocchio, called Tobias and the Angel, and it's in the National Gallery apparently. So there is a story behind it, and I thought the way they told in the website was really nice for us to think metaphorically about. So it's almost like we can see ourselves in this story, but obviously it's very symbolic. It's not, don't take it literally, because nothing is really literal in this case. Can you see? Let me just show it to the camera. It's just like a normal picture. Nothing special, but it must be really pretty there. But here, this story says that Tobias' family was going through a very tough period in their lives, financially speaking, because his father became blind and they were struggling to take care of their farm, let's say. So Tobias was helping his mother, but they were not really, being on top of things. They were struggling to keep up. So his father told Tobias, I have an idea. Can you go to the other city? That I have a friend there that we could ask for the money he owes me, because I lent him some money in the past and now we really need it. So I'm sure he won't refuse us if he knows what is going on with us. So if you could just go there and ask him for in another city for the money or for the material things he could give to help us, would be great. So Tobias said, okay, I'll have to go. And his father said, get a guide that knows the area so he can guide you, because you don't know where to go. So he went to this meeting place of his tribe, of his people, and said, anyone here knows this area and that would like to go with me because I need a guide? And everybody was very superstitious. They thought because his father became blind, he was being punished for something. And if they agreed to guide Tobias to this place, they might get their curse as well. So no one wanted to go with Tobias because of that, apart from one man who stood up, and he looked very different from everybody from the tribe. He was blonde, green eyes, tall, very pale, very different from everybody that was there, and very different from Tobias in appearance. But he said, I can go with you, I know the area well. So Tobias said, great, let's go. So his name is Raphael. And they went together. So Raphael told him, we will have to cross the river. And he said, okay, let's do it. I'll go first, and then you come after me, but you have to get to the other side. Okay, no problem. So Raphael went, opening kind of the way for Tobias, and Tobias was following him. But suddenly, he missed a step, so he lost his balance. And at the same time, he felt something on his leg pulling him down. And then he got scared because he saw it was a fish. And the fish just jumped, and it was an enormous fish. So he just cried out for help, Raphael, help me. And Raphael said, use this stick, because Tobias had a stick helping him, like, walking stick. And use the stick, but Raphael didn't do anything. He let Tobias get on with it. And Tobias used the stick, hit the fish many times, killed the fish. But then when he killed the fish, that he was struggling to bring the fish through the other border, he noticed that the fish wasn't enormous anymore. It was a very small fish. So he was surprised, and he was telling Raphael off for not helping him. It's like, I was crying out for help and you did nothing. And he said, what was the problem? It was only a little fish. So he shows that the fish shrank in size. And Tobias didn't understand that, but he thought was curious. And then Raphael said, see, you just lost your balance. And then nothing else. Let's clean this fish. I will show you how to clean this fish. So Raphael opened the fish. He took everything, the insides of the fish, put in a little metal box. He took the eyes of the fish and put together in this metal box. And he took something else from the fish, I don't remember what. But these two things are the most important things. He put in a metal box. And then they went to the city. And Tobias did not understand clearly why Raphael did that. But when they got to the city, Raphael said, I'm going to find this person for the money, and you stay here waiting for me. So Tobias stayed in town looking at people going about with their lives. And then he saw Sarah. Sarah was someone he found really attractive, really pretty. They started talking and they fell in love. It was like instantaneous love. And when Raphael came back with the money, Tobias said, I'm in love, me and Sarah. So we are going to stay here for a while. They decided to stay in the town for a while, for some months. And then one day Tobias said, marry me to Sarah. And Sarah, of course I will. So they got married and everybody was really happy. But then Sarah told Raphael in confidence, just between them, there is only a problem. I'm very happy, and Tobias is really happy about our marriage, but there is a demon, which is a translation for a spirit, that is extremely jealous of me, and he thinks I'm his. Many others I had before are now in their graves in the cemetery because he took care of them. And I don't want the same to happen to Tobias. And I'm worried. I don't know what to do, she said to Raphael. And Raphael said, okay, not a problem. When you and Tobias are alone in the house, you are going to burn the insides of the fish. Here's the metal box. That metal box he put inside of the fish. You burn it. And then they did what Raphael said, because they could hear the spirit outside from one side to the other, walking patiently, trying to get inside the house. And then they burned the inside of the fish. The smell reached the spirit, whose name is Asmodeus, and he was shrinking until he turned into ashes. So that problem was solved. After that, they decided it's time to come back to the city because, your father is waiting for you. So let's go. They took Sarah. They came back to the city. His father was still there, still blind. Everything was as he left. And then when they came back, Raphael told Tobias, now it's time to use the eyes of the fish. You are going to prepare cream with it. So Sarah did, prepared a cream with the eyes of the fish, and Tobias put on the top of the eyes of his father, and the father that was before blind now could see. And when he saw things, he saw Tobias, he saw Sarah, but he saw Raphael. But Raphael wasn't like the rest of them. He looked like he had light of his own. So he looked at Raphael like he was an angel, and no one else was noticing that light, only him. So Tobias' father laughed at the thought that he was the only one who could see that light from Raphael. And then he thought to himself that now he could see. So this is, metaphorically speaking, what Raphael is a long story. Yes, for this kind of is in the Bible as well. It's not exactly like it's in the Bible, because this is for the picture. But to say, for example, what Tobias was seeking and what he found, because it's interesting to think about that. So I made a little list. He found a friend and protector in Raphael, but he was actually seeking for something material. He was seeking for something that was financial to help him and his father, but he found a friend in Raphael. He found the strength to manage the fish that was symbolically an obstacle on his way, because he lost balance, which means, if we think about morally speaking, losing balance means you lose your cool. So you can make a mistake, you can trip. So he found his balance again after dealing with the fish, which was a problem, an obstacle in the way. And the fish that looked so enormous shrank in size, because he was able to overcome that obstacle. Therefore, he didn't see the fish like something big anymore. The fish was something small, because he dealt with it. So also, he found someone he loved and got married. He was not looking for that, for sure, but he found Sarah. He found in the fish that he killed the ingredients that sent Asmodeus, the spirit, away, because the spirits wanted to split him from Sarah. And also, with the same fish that he killed, he could cure his father's blindness. So, overcoming his obstacle, which was the fish, he was also able to find solution for 2 other different problems from that experience. So conclusion of that is that Tobias went to find something specific, but found other things on the way that he wasn't looking for. We are like Tobias. When we want to do good and we make our best efforts, when we find mercy for ourselves, is when we are open to follow the divine laws. So we go about our way to find something specific, but because we do our best to overcome problems and obstacles on the way and to give our best, we receive help. And the help in this case was represented by Raphael, because Raphael was like the angel, the guardian angel, or the person that would help Tobias through the way until he got what he needed. So the divine presence can be seen symbolically in this way. So when we think about that and us as Tobias, we can think, don't we get much more than we ask for, or don't we get much more than we seek? Many times we found so many things just because we make a small step. We take a small step, we make a small movements to be good, to do our best, and the divine mercy gives us much more. Sometimes it's not we are not up to the height of that, let's say, grace, but we did something small, and then we get something much more because of the mercy of God. So we can think metaphorically this way. Well, also, what shall we seek? If you think about Tobias, was seeking something that it was to help not only himself but also his family. Therefore, what are we seeking? Are we seeking something just for us, to help others? Which step we are taking? So if we see what Kardec says, what to seek, we can think from an earthly point of view, the maxim "seek and you shall find" is the same as the other one. Help yourself and the heavens will come to your aid. This is the base of the law of work and consequently the law of progress, since progress is the child of work, seeing that this puts into action the force of intelligence. So we study in Spiritism about the law of progress and the law of work. If we do our part, then we will be helped. But nothing will be given to us, it's just a way of putting it, but we conquer things that we want, we seek, we find. And even when they are not good, we will still find, but not in a good way. We will find a bad experience that we have to deal with, to learn now not to do next time. But it's still something good, it's still something that adds to us. So let's help ourselves first in a way that we do our best and we try our best to be the best version of ourselves, and the divine law will help us, will push us forward. How should we seek something? We can think. So there is a spirit, and I try to translate my best because there is this book is not in English. He says the quality of who you are is defined by whatever you think. So he's saying what Kardec said in another way, because Kardec said about the force of intelligence. So if we think about things using our reason as well, and also our sentiment, but usually we develop intelligence first, our reasoning first. If we direct our thoughts to good things, to things that are according to the divine law, that will help us, then we will know the quality of ourselves. So we will know who we truly are. Your mental processes constitute your reality. So your reality is not only what you live day to day, but also your mental state, and mainly your mental state as a spirit that we are all. Showing the achievements that exalt your process of evolution. So here, showing the achievements in a way that if you think positively, and if you better your level of your wavelength, your level of let's say synchronicity to the divine law, then you'll be in a better mental process. Think and you will live within the emotional atmosphere you build. So what you think will affect directly how you feel. So your emotions will be affected by the way you think. That's why it's so important to know, what am I thinking, what am I feeling. Through your thoughts you can be happy or sad, relieve happiness or misfortune. Think well in quality, because thought is life. That's why lots of research say that sometimes we, for example, remember something that upsets us, and emotionally we are reliving that experience, and the brain will not distinguish if you are definitely reliving it step by step, or if you are just imagining that situation happening again, even though it's not happening, but your brain is interpreting as if you are. So if you are reliving something happy, your brain will process like it's happening and is happy. But if it's something bad, the brain will understand something bad is happening, and that affects your emotions, obviously. Because we are spirits, but our body also has some influence on us because we are incarnate, we are on earth. But if we think about the body part, is like the chemicals that can influence ourselves with our thoughts, but as spirits also our emotional level of our wavelength, how we are seeing the world and dealing with the world. Through our thoughts, we can see how we are going to respond emotionally. So what I think is important for us, I'll open as well for comments if you want to comment, is that when Jesus said, "Seek and you will find," it's not something superficial, because it talked about a lot. Seek and you'll find, but it's in a way, so it's just if you are persistent. Sometimes that's how people see it. If you're persistent, you'll get what you want, but it's much more than that. It's not only about persistence, it's the quality of what you seek, how you approach it, what you want to achieve, your intentions, your emotions, your mental processes. These are all parts of seek and you'll find. So it's good for us to think as the spirits, what am I doing now? What am I seeking now? Do I have a plan? You know, as a spirit, I'm not talking only about today as this persona, but as someone who is a mortal being. What are my plans from now? If I want to build something for the future, I have to start now. Am I already there? Have I started? Am I seeking something? What is it in quality terms? So I think it's important for us to understand that, because it's not only not theory only, it's also practice, like learning how to direct your thoughts, know your emotions, and etc. So if anyone wants to comment about that? No comments? Aline, you're smiling?
Almost asleep.
Okay.
No, I think it's quite funny, like the job is ourselves, it's not anyone else. Like it's quite hard to realize that, because we like to blame other people for everything, and because we're having some problems and all that, no, it's the other person, always the other person, but no, it's us. And it's ourselves actually sometimes put the pressure on other people as well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes our problem, as you said, like it's that size, but we just see it like as a big thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's good to know as well what we seek unconsciously as well, because not only what you are conscious about, sometimes we wish things not knowing we are wishing them, and it's another talk, but it's interesting to think about that, because when we know ourselves, we should know also what we wish, what we are seeking, but not all we have, we are conscious of, or we want to know. Sometimes I think we just prefer not to let it come too light to us. It's better just to let it hidden, more comfortable for us. So it's something to think about as well. So that's it for today. And now gospel resume gospel.
Yeah.
Do you want to be filmed or not?
No, thank you.
Okay. Let me turn it off then.
Sharon was famous in her previous life.
Yeah, exactly.
No.